Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Get ready for Talking Heads, the show where expert insights meet world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Brought to you by USA Global TV and Radio. Meet our distinguished presenters. From the great state of Texas, longevity expert, award-winning author, publisher, and distinguished Toastmaster, Red O'Loughlin. From London, England, soul heart awakener, novelist, vocal coach, and artist, Dr. Madeline Chan. Also from England, the Harley Street stress expert, therapist, ambassador for peace, and speaker, Carolyn Heward. And from Australia, ICF PCC credentialed coach, entrepreneur, and leadership coach, Mariska Dupria. Experience their expertise, connect with their wisdom, and transform your perspective. Watch Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. This video and its contents are the property of USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. Visit usaglobaltv.com for more details.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. My name is Caroline Heward and our show today is Talking Heads, and I'm an expert presenter in today's topic, which is managing expectations, the struggle between duty and personal needs. And it's part of the Mind and Body Connection series. So let's begin. So when I was researching and looking at this topic, there were many things that came up for me in terms of what does duty mean? And rather than just looking at family, we also have a duty in terms of our relationships, our friendships, and also in our working environment too. And so I'm looking at the terminology of duty in terms of what does it mean to you and in your different circumstances. First of all, I want to look at what does duty mean in terms of family. Different cultures, different nationalities, and different generations will have different meanings and descriptions and relevances in terms of duty. And many people that I have seen in terms of clients and in conversations, in friendships and in work situations, they consider duty in different ways. So what is duty? Duty kind of feels like a very harsh word, a very, very difficult word in terms of it's really driven in terms of needing to do something, task-focused, task-orientated. So looking at what it means in family is that for some families in different cultures, duty means that older generations within a family are taken care of. They're taken care of by the younger generations. And there are many different cultures and nationalities that have come to England, because I'm based in England, and it's a cosmopolitan. There are many different nationalities and different people from all sorts of walks of life that come to London, particularly to the capital, to study, to work. And there is this thing about the streets are paved with gold. Well, that's what people think. And then they get here and it's not paved with gold, I can assure you. So when people do come to England, especially if they come from poorer countries, duty means for them looking after their family. So sending money back to their families, sending money back in terms of their children and their children's children, especially if they're coming from cultures that take care of the many different generations within their family. In the UK, duty, especially in different generations, can mean different things. I certainly feel in the generation that I grew up in that duty is very much about the family taking care of each other. And I was born in the boomer generation, and my mum and dad were born in the silent generation. And there is certainly a impetus of making sure that you take care of the family. I've also been, as growing up, very family focused, very family oriented, and very much into the family in terms of its meaning and its relevance. And I've always been seen as like sort of the sensible one, or the one that would be the one that does all the forms and does the things that need doing, sort of the legal things. And that was my role. So in terms of duty within family, there will be different members of the family that will take different duties. There might be somebody that can cook well. There might be somebody that is really good in terms of being the breadwinner and bringing the money in. So in terms of duty, it doesn't mean one size fits all or one meaning. It will be relevant in terms of the family and what their meanings are. I've had conversations with friends and with colleagues where their family are in the professional services, for instance. So they're in the legal profession, like solicitors, barristers, doctors, lawyers, accountants. And I've heard their conversations of duty, meaning that it is an expectation that they will follow in the family line of how they progress within their career and in their working occupation. So if the parents are solicitors or accountants, bankers, or they're in the professional services, there's almost like an expectation that that family tradition of accomplishment from an occupational sense is expected. What about if you don't want to be in the professional services? What if you don't want to be a solicitor, a lawyer, or a banker, or a barrister? And I've had many conversations with clients in the past that have said that it was expected. And so they did the qualifications and the study, and that meant that there was a path laid out for them. And I see many people from that world that are very unhappy because they did their duty, and I'm going to use air quotes with duty in terms of the expectation from their family. And they did what their family required of them, and yet that cost to them personally was detrimental to their own happiness. That was detrimental to the way that they could perceive and move forward in their lives. Because many of these types of professions that family have an expectation that you should be doing don't always lend to a wonderful and happy personal life. And I've been very much aware of the term married to your job. And I was certainly, as I was growing up, felt that was where I was, only I was married to my job in terms of I enjoy what I do. And I've always been in management from the age of 19. And I went against the grain of what was expected of my family because I had some different thoughts. And I changed my career a number of times, which was against the expectation of my family, because I worked so hard to get the initial qualifications that it was quite unusual within the family for one of the children to go to college and then much later on to university. I took a different path to the traditional path that most of my immediate family went down. And so I was in strange territory. And so my peers and mentors were always outside of the family. And I then moved in different circles because my duty, I felt, was to the careers that I had chosen. And I'd always been in leadership and management. And so that was something that was akin to me in terms of what I wanted to follow. It was my personal journey, much to the surprise of my family. So duty for me meant that I was very much my own person in terms of what I felt was important to me, a career, making a difference, and making a mark in life was something that I wanted to do. And that was far removed from the way that my family perceived what duty meant to them. And yet I still was pleasing to them in terms of the accomplishments. But balancing the happiness with the expectations and the responsibility that our family, our peers have expectations of us is something else. Because it might be that you may be in a family of doctors or a family of very world-renowned, great occupations, and yet it's not for you. You might be wanting to be an artist or a singer or something that's of the arts, and yet your family is of the professional circles. And so this I know because I've had a lot of clients that have taken those different routes after many years of being in the professional experiences of their occupations, that they didn't think that they had any choice about being. And this is something that's really important because this causes an internal dis-ease. It causes an internal conflict of what you want to do personally, meeting your personal needs versus meeting the family's personal needs. And this can also be applied to work situations within teams where you have an expectation. You may have an expectation of yourself within that role, and there might be others within your team that have an expectation of you within that role. And so I call this like sort of, it's almost like we don't know unless we say out loud, and we can't mind read or understand what's expected of us unless we ask, unless we confirm and clarify and make sure that we don't overstep boundaries and we know where we are. And it's really interesting how if you are a giving person and you give of your time, because that's part of your nature, that there is a phrase in England, I'm not sure if it translates in the US, there is a phrase, give them an inch and they'll take a mile. And that's where there's the intention of somebody that's giving, that will give unconditionally because they want to, and they want to give value. And then there is the person in receivership of that value that will expect more. And there's another cliche that's in England that we use quite regular in terms of work, is that always give a busy person the job to do if you're in a team, because the job will get done by the busy person, but it might not get done by the person that's not busy because they are fulfilled. And I think that's sort of where I've been personally, that I've been that busy person in terms of corporate, in terms of my work-life balance. And I chose career, and I did get married to my career. And one of the reasons for that is that I really loved what I did, and I do what I love. And I've been very fortunate to choose the types of professions and the types of work that I've enjoyed and I've excelled in. Many others aren't successful in that trajectory, and they don't succeed in the space of loving what they do and doing what they love. And so it's work or a job that has an income and has a wage at the end, so they'll do what they need to do. And it just depends on where you come from in terms of how you sit and what your views are. And I always did extra. I would always stay behind and do extra work, not because I was trying to be difficult or trying to show up or shine up. It was really because I always enjoyed wherever I was what I did. And I remember my mum saying to me, which was very insightful, she said, no matter what you do, you might kill yourself in that job, but you're just a number. And I'll never forget that, because I always thought that within corporate, within my management professions and careers and different roles, that I would be special or seen as special. But I did wonder and gather the momentum that I wasn't special. I was simply a number. And generations, our current generations, Generation Z, our current generation that are in the workplace, and generations coming up, Generation Alpha, have very, very different views about work duty. They are working towards work-life balance and have more balance and have more free time, and they don't kind of get all this overtime, unpaid overtime that the boomer generation got involved in. And I just find it fascinating. Duty, what does it mean? And it means different things to different cultures, and it means different things to different generations, and it means different things within your personal life as opposed to your intimacy, your own relationships, and it means different things in terms of your family. And I've seen duty portrayed in so many different ways. Even in one family, there will be siblings that don't speak and are always at loggerheads with each other and in conflict. And I've seen other families where it's wonderful and there's sister days and brother days. And I always smile when I hear that, because that's not out of duty, that's out of love. And this is where I'm coming to, that duty can come from a sense of being in a place of love and compassion for the other person. It can come from a place of loving who you are and what you do, whether it be in your personal life, whether it be in your family, and also whether it be in your work. And I've always been that type of person that will give because I enjoy giving, and I enjoy shining because I give, and I enjoy the results of the giving, because I have a philosophy of, when you give unconditionally, when it's not a job and you give, and it's because you can, and I have this phrase that I say often, I give because I can and I care enough to give. So I'll do a free consultation for people genuinely because I can, and I care enough, and I can genuinely help them. For a short amount of time, I can genuinely give them insights and awarenesses and understandings of what's not working and why it's not working, which is revelationary to them. And it's very easy for me to do that because I can, and I care enough to do it for others. And that, I feel, is part of my duty. And it's not duty in the sense that I'm suffering. It's duty in the sense that I have a mission to change how people are suffering and how people are not at peace within themselves. And so that is a personal mission, but we're not all like that. And at the same time, that's personal to me. And lots of people say to me, especially if they come from those different professional type of professions and services, that they don't understand why I would give so much for free or for so little. And sometimes I get people say, no, that's too much. I don't want to take that. No, I've had enough of your time. They've been there for 5 minutes. No, I don't want to take any more of your time. And I think that's amazing, because that tells me something about how they see duty and how they see how they give as well as receive. And in the respect of duty, I want to look at gift giving and giving something that's of value to another person, whether it be in your personal life, whether it be in your intimacy or within your family or to a colleague. To give a gift, and you have thought about it, because not from a sense of duty, but from a sense of wanting to give something. I've always given gifts, and I go through quite a big scenario of choosing the gift and making sure that it's right for the person. I'm thinking about the person when I'm buying it. I'm sort of thinking about what they're going to look like when they open up the gift, and I get a lot from that, and I just want to see their face when they've opened up the gift. So I get just as much from giving a gift as they do in receiving the gift. But what about if the other person that you're giving the gift to says, oh, no, I don't want that. That's too much. No, you don't have to do that. It then makes you, the gift giver, feel not good. And it then takes away all the pleasure that you would have had. And then it turns onto the other person as that they don't feel good enough to receive the gift. It's fascinating. And it's also a demise, because the person that's not wanting to receive the gift out of some level of duty feels that it's too much, so they don't take the gift. And then that's hurting them, and it also hurts the person that's given the gift. So nobody wins. But when somebody takes the trouble of giving a gift, they're not giving it out of duty. They're giving it from a place of heart. And I would invite you to receive it from a place of heart. And if somebody is struggling with something, so in today's world, much of our world is online, and there are many people that are of a generation, even much older than me, that aren't very savvy online, or find online shopping and online trying to find services very difficult. I had an inquiry last week from somebody that had made an appointment with me, paid a deposit, and then didn't show up. And I had a conversation with them, and it was fascinating, because they said, you were not very happy with me. And I said, well, I prepared everything for you, and then you didn't show up. And then you said that that you were busy, and that meant that I'd wasted that time. And then in further conversation, I came to understand that he'd missed dental appointments, hospital appointments, he'd missed work appointments. So this wasn't an individual thing to me. And so he didn't have a sense of responsibility or duty to fulfill the commitments that he'd made. So you see, this term duty goes a long way, and it's very deep. And because he hadn't turned up and didn't say anything until I was following up saying, where are you? Is that he didn't feel any level of responsibility to show up, even after he'd paid a deposit. And I found that fascinating. But something else that this particular person shared with me, he said there's nothing online. His phone, he's lost his phone. He's working with a pay-as-you-go phone. The big thing about it is he hadn't solved anything. And he advised me that he spent over £100 on a train ticket. And I said, well, if you went online, and this was my comment, if you went online, you could have bought a ticket for much, much less than that, maybe a fifth less than that. And he says, yes, my friends have all told me about this online. I just walk up to the station and get a ticket. So for those types of people that haven't moved online and haven't moved with the times, with technology, is there a sense of responsibility? And I felt there was a sense of responsibility to give him a little bit of education about what he's missing out on. Now, I wasn't paid for it. He didn't invite it. But I felt that his life was very haphazard and very chaotic. And it wasn't what he asked for, but I felt that was what he needed. So from my perspective, it was about balancing my personal feeling about my responsibility for that client and how much his life would change because he will become an advocate rather than somebody who just comes to see me and pays me. And that's the difference in terms of what you care about versus your sense of duty being a task. The struggle of that duty for people can be challenging when you're balancing the personal life. And this particular person in that conversation, he said his life was really challenging and he was missing out and having to spend all sorts of money because he'd missed appointments and he had to pay for them. And I thought it was fascinating. I said, you really need to come and see me and I'm really happy to help you. But you have to take responsibility. And I want to look at responsibility because you cannot be responsible for someone else. They have to take responsibility. You can guide them, you can teach them, you can mentor them, but you can't make them do anything. And so you can feel a sense of duty and a sense of care to help someone and give them all your attention, but you can't do it for them. And this is something that I feel is relevant for many people, that level of not taking responsibility is rife. And it certainly is rife in a lot of our younger generations, where there is a sense of needing something and expecting someone else to do it for them. And I have learned that you can take it off someone and do it for them. But I would much rather, thinking about some of the Bible stories as I was growing up, you can fish for a person and you can feed them for one meal. So you can catch really good fish and feed them for that one meal. Or you can teach them to fish and then they can feed themselves forever. And I'd much rather teach someone than just feed them. And that's where I feel that my level of duty and responsibility goes, that I don't want to do it for someone because they don't learn and then they're always needing you. So what happens when love can overtake obligation? When you feel that you need to do something for someone because you love them. And it's the same thing. You can't do something for someone that needs to do a particular task on their own. And I'd like to give you some insight to this, that if you do tasks that the other person really has responsibility for, you take away their rights to learn and to grow and to gain wisdom. And what right have you to take away that learning curve and that growth curve from them? And so you can teach, you can guide, you can facilitate, but if you do whatever it is for each person, whether it be family, your personal life, or within your working life, you take away their privilege of their growth and their learning. And I have put myself, even from a very young age, in other communities away from the family, so I didn't get that support from the family. I took myself out and moved into different community groups that my family and siblings weren't around me. And the consequence of that is that I was exposed to different things and different people and different ways and different situations. And so I learned so much more, and it gave me so much depth and breadth of what was possible. And if you decide to do things for the other person and do all of the things, they never learn and they never grow and they never evolve in the way that you did. And so I always think that it's good to guide, to facilitate, to show, to share. But take heed about feeling that you have to take total responsibility for what their outcomes are and for doing things for them. You know, I have a phrase, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink the water. And if you take a step back, show, guide, facilitate, mentor, but if you take a step back, that allows the other person space. It allows them space to evolve in that new task, in that new awareness. And I remember, and I want to share a very personal story with you, that I felt a huge responsibility of, I was the one that filled in all the forms when I was within the family, and did all the writing, all the Christmas cards and doing all the writing, because I was known as the one with neat writing and the sensible one. And when I left home to get married, it caused a huge ricochet of discomfort, because I had taken on that responsibility. Not only did I take it on, I did it, and I did it so well that it took away other members of families' grace and other members of families' appreciation that they could do it too. And in getting married, because I thought that that was at the time right for me, I didn't just leave and get married. I actually left the city and I moved to a different city. So it wasn't so easy. What that did was it gave my family, especially my mum and my dad, it gave them scope to evolve. And it gave them scope to learn, and it gave them scope to become so much better and so much more evolving in terms of being able to do things that I just did for them. And so, if anything, it was a good thing, even though it was difficult, it was a good thing for them. So I feel that now, if I look back and I had the same decision to make again, I wouldn't feel so guilty about feeling that I was leaving them, because they now have so much more in terms of skill that it left me feeling that it was a good thing that they were able to evolve in the way that they did. And that left me feeling good that they were then able to grow and evolve and do things. And so I firmly believe that we should never take away the responsibility of others, whether we feel there's a duty, whether we feel that it's an expectation. I think that to be there and to guide and to give them the impetus of that they can come to you if they have any questions. And this can be in all manner of things. I remember when my dad died, it was the first time that there was a bereavement within the family, and didn't have a clue where to start. And this is very familiar when I've spoken to many people that have had a bereavement. It's a familiar story that people don't know what to do, and we kind of work our way through it somehow. And there isn't really anyone to guide you. You go from one thing to the next because there's so many things that you have to do. So looking at the struggle, and this is what we've been exploring, the struggle between managing expectations and the struggle between duty and personal needs. You know, there is so much more I can share with you on this topic that I'd like to explore this further in another episode, and looking a little bit deeper in terms of needs for teams as well as individuals, and more about the family and how to cope when there is a sense of duty versus a sense of expectation versus a sense of your own personal needs. So thank you very much for your attention. It has been my absolute pleasure to give you this lesson, this talk, to give you some guidance in terms of not taking on what is not yours to take on. Feel comfortable to allow the other person their responsibility, because they will evolve and they will grow, and it's not your place to take that opportunity away from them. Please do subscribe to USA Global TV and Radio, where you'll find all of our Talking Heads episodes on USA Global TV and Radio. If you want to find my Talking Heads episodes, please search for Jacalyn and you'll find them under the relevant years. Thank you very much for listening, and please do reach out to me if I can be of service to you. You can reach out to me on nomorestress@live.co.uk, or call me if you're international, +44 if you're local, 07523 120 189. And I look forward to helping you break through the patterns that create your stress and your difficulties in your life. Namaste.
Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacalyn.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is the listening mentor. Start your journey today.
5 Little Known Secrets for Dementia Caregivers with Tracy Cram-Perkins.
Hi there. I am Tracy Cram-Perkins, the host of the Dementia Home Care Show here on USA Global TV and Radio. I am also the author of the book of the same name. And you'll see this QR code. This is for an extended version of the same talk. So if you want to see the full hour-long version, feel free to scan the code and go to that website. Stick with me. We'll talk about 5 little known secrets to make it a little easier to do dementia caregiving. What you're seeing on the left-hand side is a healthy aged brain, age 55 and above. The one you're seeing on the right is an Alzheimer's disease brain. It is in moderate disease. It is shrinking. It has holes in it. The memories that were in those holes no longer exist. When you're learning something, let's say in kindergarten, you learn how to tie your shoelace. Well, then by the time you're in second grade, your brain remembers that information from tying the shoelace and applies it so you can learn more quickly how to tie more complex knots. So the brain is hardwired to do this for us, so it helps us learn faster so it doesn't take us long to acquire knowledge. The brain is looking for the information and they pick the closest to wherever that hole is. Let's look at some tips that we can use to help do that.
These are 5 simple tools you can use as a dementia caregiver to help your loved one. The whiteboard is a useful tool in recording the day's activities and the answers to repetitive questions. The calendar clock is a very useful tool to orient your loved one on the day, the date, and the time, and remind them of upcoming appointments. The communication cards are a great tool to bridge the gap when they can no longer tell you what's wrong. And then there's the pill minder, for when your loved one is still able to take pills but needs prompting. The final tool I want to share with you is the memory book. It tells your loved one's story. It's a great tool for distraction, redirection, also as a conversation starter, and telling you where they are in their story so you know how to answer their questions.
Music is probably the most powerful tool in your toolbox after laughter. Music is a way to maintain connection. It sticks with your brain longer than any other thing, including reading. When you're having an issue with somebody, you can play their favorite music if you move them to another room, something that makes them happy, or you can start singing songs together from their childhood. These are some of my favorite books for caregivers. My show airs on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, and you can view past episodes on YouTube. Thank you, everyone.
This program has been brought to you in part by Tracy Cram-Perkins. Connect with her and order her book at tracycramperkins.com. For more information about Alzheimer's disease, support resources, and how you can help, contact the Alzheimer's Association at 1-800-272-3900 or visit their website at www.alz.org. They offer 24/7 helpline support and a wealth of information to assist you and your loved ones.
We face daily cyber risks, spending over 7 hours of screen time, including 4.5 hours on mobile phones. This convenience comes with significant dangers, with cybercrime costs predicted to exceed $10.5 trillion by 2025. In 2023 alone, seniors lost over $3.4 billion to cybercrime. Our goal is to make social engineering concepts of cybersecurity easier to understand. We work with business teams, senior living facilities, investment companies, and educational institutions, both individually and in groups. We offer real-life examples to help you recognize and prevent attacks, with sessions available both in person, in selected regions, and remotely. Schedule your training session, or to learn more, contact us today. Call us at 847-845-9360. Email us at info@cybersecurityeasy.com. Protect your team and family with cybersecurityeasy.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.